Yeah, actually, from a sequel perspective, and so I made the decision. So I played. So I just finished playing Ultra Hard, New
Yep.
Game Plus, Ultra Hard,
Mm,
and completed all the things. Not all the little collector quests, but I completed all the
yeah.
quests, maxed everything
Just
out.
the main stuff.
Maxed
Yeah.
it, maxed it. And the final battle, I had to. I swore a couple times. It's actually quite hard.
Mm.
But it was interesting.
Challenging.
So coming
Mm.
off, yeah, I don't even know if you could do it without dying. Like, but what I mean by that is you could do it without dying, but that is because you've died many times learning how to do it. It's not that you couldn't do it without dying. But if you think you could,
Only through the experience
yeah,
of multiple deaths were you
yeah,
able to realize the final outcome.
that's right. That's the only way.
Mm,
It's the
mm,
only way.
mm.
And I've
Hence the necessity for the the rebirth.
so I've been not critical. I haven't played the Forbidden West, but I've been critical in general of sequels, such as say Horizon or anything like where you really continue on from wherever you were up to at the end.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII, like part
Mm,
one, part two, like other game. Now, if you're a different character or it's a different mission and everything's changed, sure, whatever. But so you have just spent the whole of the game getting really badass,
yeah.
and so for some reason you're going to start the next game like a complete idiot, like
Like a waffle
a
right from
waffle.
the
How
beginning
is
again. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
kind of insulting, you know.
You'd think they'd have like character transfer.
You think they would.
Mm.
So I was,
Unless there was, there was a whole different range of characters, and so the
yeah,
transfer
this, yeah,
wasn't
yeah. But if
available.
you're
Or
literally playing the same person, and in this
mm,
case it's 6 months afterwards, the
yeah,
game is,
then you would be at the level that you left
wouldn't
off at.
you?
You'd
Wouldn't you?
think.
You'd think.
You know.
So Forbidden West has actually done that incredibly well. You're not copying the character across. So a few things start straight away. So it's quite clever the way it integrates. So the first
Is it
thing is,
you start at a certain level? Like
no, you're starting no, in terms of the game. You're starting at level one, and there's lots of things to skills and whole skill trees and everything to fucking do. And
yeah.
but so the first level is actually like pre-intro credits, and
Hmm.
it's just like we'll call it the training level, but the training level's a full mish. And the way it teaches you a lot of the things that you learned about the interface and how the world works are taught to you because a character jumps in from the old story, and you're like, oh, how did you find me? I've been searching for you for 6 months, you know.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, if you're coming with me, you have to learn a few things,
Yeah.
and you play you, but you're teaching them, and so
Ah. Yep. 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 Gotcha.
yeah, so you learn. If you've never played it before, you learn,
Hmm.
and if you have played it before, it makes sense why you're doing this. Like it's
Your
sort of
mentor turned up. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you're the main character, and you're going, hey, you've got to press this thing to make that button work, and you know, I'll jump up here because you can't, but I'm showing you how to do it,
Yeah.
and then you can get up, and so you're kind of helping through a Weffler.
Hmm.
So, so you're either just simply learning because it's showing you everything, or you're teaching, and that's why it's showing you everything, depending on
Yeah.
what's in your head,
Perspective.
yeah, your
Yeah. Yeah.
perspective. So nothing else changes; it's just your perspective is different.
Mm.
And then he goes, the character from the past goes, 6 months ago, is like, why are you having to do that? Like, weren't you just badass?
Mm.
Like literally says that
Mm.
to you,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've lost all my weapons and shit, like over the last
Yeah.
6 months
Yeah.
in these fucking
That's
fierce
it.
battles and stuff, and I'm just down. This is all I got
Just,
left.
but I spent so much downtime. All my skill set was just
No, no, no.
reduced
So
back
the
to.
first thing is,
Mm.
no, the first thing is, it's just your kit. Like,
Oh, you've lost your tools.
yeah, you've
Lost your
lost all your
tools to be able
tools.
to
Like,
do the
why don't you
job.
have like
Yeah.
12 bows and all the freaking
Mm,
weapons and
mm,
shit that you used to
mm.
have? And it's like, yeah, well,
You know,
this is in the last six months.
I had a pretty bad 6 months or 12
Yeah,
months
like it's been
on
such a
drugs. I had to sell everything. I had to sell all my great weapons just so that I could support my drug habit.
spot the drug habit, keep going.
Mm,
And I think this character, Aloy's drug habit was continuous, like getting in bad situations and
yeah.
fighting so much.
Mm.
And then lands she didn't
Paying
understand.
off officials by giving
Yeah.
away your magic items. Yeah.
So she's done all of that. And so he's like, oh, fair enough. And so you've got this built-in reason why you're accumulating stuff. And so you get through the trial mission, like the training,
Hmm.
the beginning, like actual beginning happens. And then you go out into the world, first mission. First, you're actually now playing the game. You're in an open
Yeah.
world. Because the first bit's not even an open world. It's very scripted and directed.
Mm, mm.
And then the two things, three things. Too. So the first thing is, from anyone's perspective, is that the character does already can do a lot of the things. Like where walking across a rope that's suspended in air, being able to like walk across that and fight, like shoot an enemy,
Hmm.
was a skill you had to learn. In
Yeah.
this, you just can do it.
Keeping. Yeah. Yeah. It's
You know,
automatic.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can
Because
do it.
it's expected that you would automatically know it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a bunch of
Part of
stuff
the
that
storyline. Yeah.
basically you can do now. Things like say becoming better at stealth, like
Hmm.
that's you've got to learn that in this. And so maybe you could argue that these creatures are more aware or whatever. Like there's easy things to, but a lot of the basic stuff you have the ability to do it, and it doesn't necessarily go through any training on that. Like I guess for a new user, they would jump on the rope and they would try to do the thing and they could just do it, and so they think that that's what you can do. You know what I mean? And for the
Yeah.
experienced user, you're like, oh yeah, cool, because I learned that.
If you obviously hadn't
Yeah,
played the
yeah,
first.
yeah. You just think that's how it
Yeah.
was, you know.
Yeah.
And it says things like where you go to override where you go to override something. So you basically take control of robots. And it says, oh, there must be a cauldron around here so that I can go and learn how to control them. And for a new user, it's telling you what you've got to look for.
Mhm.
But for an experienced user, it's you talking to yourself. It's like where you're asking yourself, "Where's the cauldron?" And the character's saying, "Where's the cauldron? I got to go find it." And if there was a robot that you did know how to control, you still can, which is not many, but it's just the first. There's just a couple, and you. So as
Obviously,
you're
just to introduce you to that the
the
whole
new world.
methodology of doing the
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
but then as you move further away from your homeland, the creatures evolve and they're different. And that's already explained in the first game, is that the guy, the terraforming AI, can just make whatever robots it needs. So for a
Fit
slightly different
purpose. Yeah.
location, it sort of
True.
makes a similar one. You're like, oh, that's like that creature from that. They've just made it
Mm,
different,
mm.
but it's like a different area.
No, it's an evolved version for that particular area.
Yeah, for that particular area. So it is the same
Correct.
idea, but it's a
Mm.
and the other ones are there, maybe mixed in. Like they're not. So anyway, that's really clever. Like the way that it kind of blends in the two. And then the other half of it is something I'd say, which is really interesting about the game from the first game and the second game, is that at least 50%, if not 75% of the reason why you can take down an enemy is not skills or weapons, unless it's like you need a special arrow or something, obviously. But
Mm.
it's actually you, the player. It's your skill,
Your ability. Yep.
your ability, not the character's ability. The character can already do all the things that you can do at the end of the game in the beginning of the game. It might do them better, but it can already dodge the things, do the things. It's you that can't fucking dodge the thing.
You've got to get used to the
You've
interface
got to
with
get
the
used to it.
control. Yeah.
And so for me, last night, going into the open world, I immediately just went completely off script and over the hill and did the
Yep. Hit
whole
the
thing.
things and
And
try
I
to
was
break it as we
careful.
normally do.
And I was
Yeah. Always
careful. Like I was like, oh, I don't want
try
to
to break
die.
the game right off the outset.
And I just went immediately into grind mode to build up my skill points and
Yeah.
do all the things.
Yeah. Collector,
Yeah.
whatever mana and yeah,
But I
things
was
you need.
then as good, given the weapons I had, at killing the things as I just was playing ultra hard.
On the other previous
Yeah, like I've
previous
just come out of ultra
iterations.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And even though I'm at the beginning of the game, the first thing I'm killing in the open world, and I'm doing I'm walloping them.
Whipping it.
Yeah, I'm whipping
Whipping
them.
it. Mm.
Um, and and you're like, this is such a good game because it's not dependent on skills and things. It's dependent on player skill, like
Player ability.
actual skill.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's a it's like an old time platformer,
Mm.
like where you fucking had to get the timing. It's
Yep. Yep. If you didn't have it down, you didn't know
no,
how
there
many
was no
steps before you jump, to miss the barrel,
no.
you know.
And like say something like Double Dragon or whatever, that's just an
Yeah.
example, or Rygar, you might get a better weapon, but not much.
Mm.
Basically, it's you jumping and hitting shit.
Yep.
And I think that's a real quality of Horizon, is that of how much of the game is your skill. I also noticed it in Final Fantasy VII, and so maybe I'm hold out hope for part two. But yeah, Horizon for Forbidden West, I'm already well for me, I'm in the first 10 hours of gameplay.
Mm. Mm.
I'm already at level 8 or whatever, and I've barely walked around the corner of the map. But uh,
But obviously, by doing the grinding, you're
oh,
pumping
oh,
your
yeah.
levels
No,
up,
fucking
getting it
yeah,
up early.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, as is the way. And going everywhere, doing everything, found all these
Yep.
things, nearly kill
Mm.
yourself 20 times,
Mm.
doing the most sketchy shit. And the one thing I did read in reviews about the game, or listen to in reviews, was people bitching about the climbing system.
Ah, yeah.
So in Zero Dawn, it's you can climb on where you can climb is sort of clearly marked, and then there's you just jumping around the landscape and getting lucky. If you want to try and navigate terrain the wrong way.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Which players do.
Oh yeah, no, and it rewards you for doing so. It's not to a limit, but
Mm.
this really rewards you for doing it. And people complained about it because all it does is just puts yellow lines on every bit that you can climb, and otherwise you just really can't tell. And I disagree.
No, no. If you're
Uh,
willing to push the character and to jump into areas where you think, well, maybe I can't climb there, but all of a sudden, oh, I've got a foothold or a handhold here, and then trying to jump again and see if there's another handhold above it,
yeah,
which is not, off script or off the,
not
this
unmarked. It's
way, this
unmarked.
way, this way is the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think from the people who reviewed it, they must have I think that they were following the game. Like even though so you can like press a button and bzzz, it gives like it scans the area with like a high tech computer, and then it would mark all the points where you could grab. There's these little yellow lines and stuff, and so you could navigate up it. You go, oh, I can jump up there, and here's red X's. I can't jump up here. And they were
yeah,
like, oh, they said you could go anywhere you wanted to, but there's red X's in places. It's like a fucking vertical wall, idiot. That's why you
yeah.
can't climb up it.
Hmm.
But
You
the,
aren't the goat.
well,
You don't have the
you're
goat.
pretty go
You
like.
can't you can't hit the 97 degree and then just walk up the wall.
No,
You
no,
ain't the
you're
goat. You're not
pretty
the
good,
goat.
but not that good.
Mm.
So there is like actual, a rope across a thing that you jump and grab, or something that's really obvious. A ladder. There's a ladder, and they're really clearly marked in a yellow rope. But that's then there's like the next level is where you can navigate the terrain with you can scan it and see the little yellow lines or the red X's and climb up a cliff face with the yellow. And you don't need to do that. You can go up and like have a fair guess that you can
Mm.
probably grip on that. And I was doing that and just cruising up the wall because I could sort of see where I would go next. And I've played the first one, so I get an idea of how it would cruise around the landscape. However, there's actually a third mode, which I think the reviewers just didn't.
Didn't realize or
Yeah,
didn't get.
which
Yeah.
is that there are places which are unmarked.
Which is like the freestyle.
Yeah, it's
If
freestyle,
you're
man.
willing to give it a go,
Yeah, and you might die.
there is other ways through
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than just the marked way. Yeah, yeah, I
And
get
that
that.
and
That's
that
good.
accounts for
That's
the
good. I
red
like that
mark.
in a game.
Yeah, the red mark or the yellow mark. Like,
Mm,
there's no mark.
no, no, and that's the it's like the hidden rooms.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The equivalent of the old hidden room in say for instance Legend of Zelda.
Hmm.
Windwalker and like that. You had to jump on this certain spot and then oh, hang on, that isn't actually a wall. It's a hidden room where you can
Mm.
sort of edge your way into, and
Just
then ding, there's your special bonus.
that's me. That's my play style
Yeah,
because I found everything. I suspect that
going
there was
going the
nothing
bonuses. Mm,
I missed in so far
yeah,
as I've
yeah.
been where I've been, unless I couldn't
Thoroughly swept.
everything yeah,
Yeah,
consumed. And that part of it, the free form, like where you can parkour with no
yeah.
support, it's good. And because I'm already
Mm.
really good at that from the first game, I'm really good at it. And so yeah, I think
And obviously you get the bonus for it.
oh yeah, as
You're
you
willing you're
do.
willing to push the envelope,
Mm.
then you get the extra bonus,
Yeah,
which
and
is
if you
available
played
with
through 200
pretty much
hours
ever.
of this game, you'd be good at it too. I've just played through
Mm.
200 hours of the first game, and so fucking good at it already.
Yeah.
And it just
You've honed
translates.
you've honed your
Oh
skill
yeah,
of being able to use the controller.
yeah. I play Aloy really well. Like yeah, she gets good go when she's I'm fucking running her. So, anyways, heaps fun. It's heaps fun, and I'm looking
Well, I'm
forward to
glad
it.
you're getting into